and we are honored to have Congressman Greg Steube as our special guest this morning. Mr. Steube represents Florida's 17th District in Congress, which covers all of Charlotte, DeSoto, Glades, Hardee, Highlands, and Okeechobee counties, as well as parts of Sarasota, Lee, and Polk counties. I'd like to welcome this morning with us Congressman Greg Steube.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Great to be with you again. What I'd like to do is just kind of give you a quick update of what has been going on in Washington, and then I'm happy to take any questions if we have the ability to do that in the time we have remaining. Well, first off, I wanted to because everybody has, as part of the chamber, some small businesses, talk about something timely that happened yesterday. Yesterday, President Trump signed an executive order that will slash red tape in order to revitalize the economy. The president is directing agencies to use all emergency authorities to swiftly identify regulations that can be rescinded or temporarily waived to promote job creation and economic growth. The president's order asks agencies to speed up the rulemaking process by moving proposed rulemakings to interim final rules with immediate effect, saving years in some cases. President Trump has also made deregulation a major pillar of his pro-growth policies, freeing up small businesses and entrepreneurs to create jobs and drive economic growth. The president's providing regulatory relief for American businesses as they work to recover from the impact of the coronavirus. The president's also directing agencies not to over-enforce when a business is working in good faith to follow the law. This discretion will especially benefit small businesses who are fighting to recover from the impact of this pandemic. The president's order establishes a regulatory Bill of Rights, a set of 10 basic principles of fairness to govern the administrative enforcement and adjudication process. If you want to read the details of that order that he issued yesterday, all you have to do is go to the White House website, and it's there for you to pull and to review. I'll give you a quick update of what's been going on in Washington. I was there Friday. I had to fly up early in the morning. Interesting, there's not a lot of flights available for any of those that have flown. I normally fly out of Sarasota, but there weren't any flights in Sarasota, so I had to drive to Tampa to fly out of Tampa to get to Washington in time on Friday for the votes. So we voted on the $3 trillion package that Speaker Pelosi had put together without consulting some of her own members in secret behind closed doors, and then just issued out this huge bill. It's the largest bill to ever be considered in the House of Representatives. It was $3 trillion, things that completely unrelated to the coronavirus pandemic response. For example, included in the $3 trillion package would do away with every state's voter ID laws. Like in Florida, you have voter ID laws when you register to vote. If this bill were to become law, it would do away with all those voter ID laws and let any person, whether you're a citizen of this country or not, vote. That was included in there. There were things in there for marijuana. There were things in there completely unrelated to the pandemic, not including the fact that it's an additional $3 trillion on the $2.3 trillion we spent in the CARES 2.0 Act, as it's being dubbed. So that's kind of the latest. That bill is not going to go anywhere. Mitch McConnell has said that they're not going to take that up. I do think there will be another package, but that package will be negotiated between Speaker Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, and the president, probably Secretary Mnuchin, again, as it has done in the past bills. Let's talk about a little bit about what, as you guys know, I'm sure you know the PPP. I did go back up and vote favorably for that. There was a bill, it's kind of being dubbed the 3.5 coronavirus, CARES 3.5. That included an additional $300 billion for the PPP program. There was an initial $300 billion in the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program. This bill that passed added more money to that because that fund ran out of money. And I actually talked to some business owners in Charlotte County who had applied, but the money ran out in the initial program, and they were kind of in limbo until Congress reappropriated those dollars. So there's now been a total of $600 billion that's been appropriated pursuant to the CARES Act. That money is still available. If you haven't taken advantage of that, just contact your local bank or your community bank. In that bill that we voted on, there was specific money allocated, about $80 billion of that $600 billion allocated specifically for community banks to help smaller communities and rural communities that didn't have big banks, that had community banks, for specific community banks to take advantage of that. So that was the 3.5 that passed overwhelmingly. I voted in support of that. It passed by 388 and only 5 people voted against that bill. So if you have a small business, you haven't taken advantage of the Paycheck Protection Act, I encourage you to do that. In the original CARES 2.0 Act that we passed by voice vote now a month ago, there is unemployment compensation in there for $1,200 per person. So we at the federal level appropriate the dollars, and then the state agencies administer those programs. We have gotten a lot of calls in my district about the challenges that people have faced with the state unemployment compensation system. Hopefully Governor DeSantis has done the things necessary to ensure that people are getting, if they have been unemployed due to the coronavirus, they are getting that money. We appropriated it at the federal level, and so the states have it. There was also money appropriated at the federal level for states, municipalities, and counties. $8.3 billion of that was appropriated to Florida. As last I had heard from a news report, there was about $6 billion still available in that fund. So if you're in a county or a city, like Charlotte County is under the 500,000 population, so they didn't get direct funding through that initial big CARES bill. They still can request from the state money to Charlotte County to aid in the response to the pandemic. So that's kind of an update of where we're at the federal level. Looking forward, I do see there being another bill. Mitch McConnell has talked about liability protection for businesses that do start to reopen, and ensuring that if you do reopen and you're following the state's guidelines, you're not going to get sued if somebody by chance gets infected with the virus. So I think that's something for him that he has to have if there's a bill that moves forward. Myself and other Republicans have talked about the fact, let's wait and see how some of this funding pans out. Like I said, $6.3 billion is still sitting there in Florida that can be tapped for municipalities and counties that didn't receive money under the 2.0 bill. And there's still unemployment compensation out there that we appropriated, and there's still PPP money out there that we've appropriated. So as states like Florida start to reopen, these businesses that were shut down start to reopen and get back to business, it's my opinion that we wait and see what is going to be needed, if anything more, as it relates to responding to the pandemic. The House also on Friday, I also voted against this bill, allowed for proxy voting. So this will now allow, it's unprecedented in the 200-year history of the House of Representatives. They will now be able to conduct business by proxy. Speaker Pelosi can actually pass a bill with 20 people on the floor because each member can have up to 10 proxy votes from other members. They're now holding committee meetings, or they can hold committee meetings virtually. I think that's extremely problematic for the minority. I also think it violates the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear about how the House conducts business. It's very clear that you must have a quorum present, and that is presence in the chamber to conduct business. So I believe that the bill violates the Constitution, but I do think you will see committees have virtual committee hearings. We've been told that Judiciary may have, I sit on the Judiciary Committee, that we may have a Judiciary Committee hearing next week virtually. I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know how they're going to do markups virtually. I don't see how you're going to be able to conduct business of the people virtually. We've been clamoring for months to get back to work. You know, our healthcare workers are on the front line. Businesses are starting to reopen. Congress should be up there responding to the will of the people and doing the things that we should be doing to react to this. But unfortunately, I think they're going to do virtual committee meetings, and I don't know when we will see that change. If there is another bill, because of the rule change that passed on Friday, we don't necessarily have to go up and vote for it, because you can have a proxy, you can have somebody vote for you. So if there is another bill, I don't see the entire House convening, which again, I believe violates the Constitution, our Constitution, because of quorum and present requirements. But nonetheless, that is what Speaker Pelosi wanted to do, and it passed this Friday as part of a rule change bill. So I don't know when I'll be going back to Washington. I'll continue to do things like this to keep you guys informed. I will say this quick before I take questions. If you have questions about agencies or SBA loans or anything like that, and our office can be of assistance, down there at the bottom scrolling on your screen is the numbers that you can contact our offices. And if we can be of assistance in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you want to get up-to-date information of these regulatory things that come out from the president, stuff that comes out, bills we vote on, when I go on TV and talk about the issues that are going on, we post all of that on our Facebook page, all you have to do is follow us. It's Facebook.com/Rep Greg Steube, REPGREGSTEUBE, both on Facebook and Twitter. We put all of the information as it relates to the state of Florida's laws and executive orders and what's going on in Washington. So if you want to stay up to date, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And with that, I thank you guys for all you do for Charlotte County, and I'm happy to take questions.
Question for you. There has been some scuttlebutt about possibly 501c6s being added to the PPP. Do you happen to know anything about that, or that might?
Yeah, so I initially wrote a letter to the vice president to try to get that included in the initial CARES Act. I have now co-sponsored a bill. I'm the Republican lead on a bill that would give 501c6s exactly that, the ability to take advantage of the PPP program. I don't know how this is going to work now with bills going through the process because we're doing committees remotely. I do think that they added that language into this overall bill, but that overall bill that passed the House on Friday obviously is not going to become law. So I do think that that's going to happen at some point, just given the fact that the House is in this weird virtual conducting of business. I don't know if they're going to move that bill as a standalone bill or they're going to add that to the next package that leadership puts together. But I do see that moving, and there is a bill now that I'm a co-sponsor of that's going to move through the process, and that's a bipartisan bill. It has bipartisan support throughout the country, so I think that's something that should happen here soon.
Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to add a little bit about that for the people that don't understand that a 501c6 is also a nonprofit organization, which is what this Chamber of Commerce falls under. And we are a nonprofit organization, a nonprofit business. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think we're a part of government or that there's one big umbrella for everyone. So we're in the same boat as a small business as are a lot of the other 501c6s. But thank you for your efforts. We were so excited when we got your letter that you did send to the vice president on our behalf.
Happy to do it.
What else?
There is a question from one of our members, Angela Hogan. Is there going to be any CARES Act relief for communities under 500,000 population?
There was talk about that included. Well, there was language included in this last bill that passed the House on Friday for all municipalities and counties. But like I said in my remarks, there's still $6 billion that was appropriated to the state specifically for governments in responding to the coronavirus. And what I've been telling local leaders, like I also represent Okeechobee County, I've talked to their county commissioners on that same issue. Please reach out, have your Charlotte leaders reach out to Governor DeSantis. There's still money there. Reach out to your local state delegation, your state house and your state senator, because that's money that's available that we've already appropriated that I think those smaller counties can take advantage of.
Thank you.
I have a question too. I know that we're getting a lot of different numbers as far as the flattening of the curve and actual numbers. What numbers do the members of Congress rely on?
So I get, and I don't know if other members do this or not, when this first started, I get daily reports, and we could post this on our Facebook page too. It'd probably be very informative for people. Every single county that I have in my district, now there's some counties that I only represent portions of, like Lee County and Polk County, so the numbers are representative of that entire county, and those are two big counties. But every day I get updates on infections, so new cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. Every day I get that number, and you have been seeing a stabilization trend down, or a kind of a flat trend in the counties that I represent. There was some counties I still represent that don't have a single death. Hardy County and Okeechobee County don't have a single death related to COVID-19. So it's kind of interesting to see. The rural counties obviously haven't been as impacted as some of our more suburban counties, but if I personally get daily updates from each one of my counties, but I've requested that information specifically. So we could post that information, but that I get a county by county report, and then I look at the Florida of all cases to kind of see where we're at. But over the last, I think it's a week or two, it was reported that Florida's had a 14% reduction in overall cases. So that's a very good sign, especially as we're reopening and people are getting back to business.
Okay, so these are Department of Health. So each of the counties send you the DOH. Okay. Thank you.
Congressman, I've got another question for you. I've been following you on Facebook for quite a while now, and you do quite some posts on cleaning up Florida waters. Do you have a few minutes to talk about just what's going on with that front?
Yeah, I'm sponsoring a whole bunch of bills. Unfortunately, once all of this started to happen, obviously the committee work completely stopped, and everything that was happening, at least in the House, the Senate's actually in session this week. Everything that's happened in the House has been these big packages that we've been voting on. So unfortunately, the committees are not focused on these other issues, which is not something that I think we should be doing, but the Democrats are in charge and they're the ones that make the decisions. But I do think as we reopen, those will be things that we'll be focused on. I'm looking at issues as it relates to the lake levels. I'm looking at issues. I co-sponsored a bill with Brian Mast on microplastics, was something that our office had been working on. And so those are all issues that we've been working on. And because I represent part of Lake Okeechobee, I have coastline in Charlotte and Sarasota counties. Obviously, anything to do with water quality is high up on the things that we focus on in my office.
We really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today. We really appreciate everything you're doing for our state and our communities. So are there any more questions, Terry?
Not that I know of, but we are so thankful to have you with us this morning, and we wish you safe travels.
Yeah, great to see you guys, and hopefully we'll see you soon in person.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.